Johnny2000 coming live at my new studio. Yeah, I just moved. Don't talk about it. Don't tell your friends. Oh my god. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny2000, and this is the 2000 Awards. Yes, everybody. Even though I have a mic, I'm gonna pretend I don't. And I'm gussied up because I'm super excited to talk about the progress I've made on my channel throughout this year, all the hilarious shows I watched and hidden gems I dove into that, oh my god, they were just incomparable. A year ago, I was literally on the brink of not having a job, not doing anything, and putting together a bunch more videos for a YouTube channel just seemed to be the only way to actually get myself out of that. And now here I am a year later, and I actually get to do this for a living. So this is the most full I've ever been to do anything. So of course I had to celebrate by giving out awards. Yeah, so I've been putting out stuff on my YouTube channel for quite some time saying the best pilot, the best season of this show, the best movie. And now I wanted to take all your answers and talk about it in front of everybody. And this is going to have kind of a special emphasis on specifically my videos because obviously I am an expert in my own stuff and I can't really compare myself to other people like that. But we could talk about the worst video I put out this year, the best video I put out this year. We're just going to have a good time all around. So let's dive into the good, the bad, and the ugly with the 2000s Awards starring me, Johnny2000, here in 2026. Yeah, let's get started.
Why are we so unsure? Stuck behind a curtain and a 12-inch wall. My heart is insecure. This isn't a disease I'm holding on.
So this is going to work a certain way. I'm going to describe each of the categories first, and then I'm going to tell you about all the contenders in those categories, specifically the videos and shows I'm talking about. Since I don't want to give the individual shows awards, I'm going to give my own videos awards, because why not? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. I'm actually doing that, so I guess I can't say that. Oh god, I hate this. Yeah, it's weird putting on a dress shirt and a blazer and just assuming you're doing an award show. I don't know how the KCA does it, but this is no slime bucket, that's for sure. And then we're going to start talking about 2026 and what is exciting and what's to come, with a little bit of behind-the-scenes secrets that I will be presenting to you about all of the fun stuff I have planned. I had trouble over the past couple months finding the perfect way to put out something like this, the perfect non-lazy way to just kind of re-talk about my own videos once again. And yeah, I guess I just decided sitting in a blazer and putting a microphone up against my lips was the best thing to do, as it always is, I guess. Whatever the cheapest thing. No, I'm just kidding. I do put a considerable amount of effort in these things. Now, the first award we are going to be presenting today is the Best Pilot Award. A pilot is supposed to be something that really gives you a dive into the series before the series necessarily comes out. So it's really important that networks get these perfectly, especially with a teen sitcom. I mean, had every character come in seamlessly, the jokes were on point, and maybe they didn't have all the ducks in a row before they had to put it out. Have to go on with this show for 2 or 3 more years. You gotta get it right. So that's why it's super exciting to give the Best Pilot Award. And here are the nominees. That's So Raven.
See the thrills. Feel the chills.
Ray, I can't do it! Yes, you can, just a little bit further. Oh! Mocha Frost, my favorite.
That's So Raven has an episode called Mother Dearest, and it's basically Raven Baxter has to go to a parent-teacher meeting as her own mother, and it's all because of this vision she has that she's going to be in trouble. And it's really cool. It's all about responsibility and her navigating the world of psychicness, if that's a word. It's really hard to jump into a show like that when there's so much lore that needs to be introduced. But hey, Michael Poyes created Hannah Montana, so of course he's going to create a good episode of Raven Baxter. Then we have Sunny with a Chance, Sketchy Beginnings. Sketchy Beginnings is the beginning of all Sunny Monroe's journey at the brand new SNL-like studio, So Random. And I'm not talking about the spin-off show when Demi Lovato left. I'm talking about the original show that wasn't starring Sunny, and she came in. Sketchy Beginnings is the name of it, and I mean, just because it has such a funny episode title is like why it goes such a long way with me. I'm not sure if you guys saw my Sunny with a Chance video, but we really dive into how it was created, why the producers from Nickelodeon had essentially jumped over to Disney to make this perfect sketch comedy 30 Rock-like show. In the first episode, Sunny takes up her whole life, moves to LA, and pretty much is dealing with the culture shock of what they prioritize in Los Angeles versus what they prioritize, you know, from her nice hometown. The show is such a positive one with one of my favorite beats, and the fact that Chad Dillon Cooper isn't in the pilot is almost criminal to me. So it does really good with getting a lot of laughs in a short amount of time. The characters are super distinct, like Tawny being Sunny's opposite, Nico, Grady, Zora, everything about it is about testing Sunny, and in a way that That's So Raven didn't learn how to do quite yet. Like, that's Sunny with a Chance was in the 2010s. Then we have Unfabulous. Unfabulous's pilot is called The Party, and it definitely surprised me a lot. We went over it in my first season retrospective, and by the way, I wasn't even expecting to like Unfabulous, honestly. Like, my thoughts on the original series weren't super positive, and I don't remember honestly remembering a lot of Addie Singer's backstory. A lot of it was very new to me, so the fact that it came on really strong, like they had that cold open with talking in the middle of the action with her face in the punch bowl, it's such a punch in the face for a start of a series. Her relationship with her brother Ben and her sickening obsession with this guy she loves, Jake Bahari. Like, this is just such a crazy thing. Nickelodeon spends so much time with Naked Brothers Band. Characters perfectly flawed, and her best friends are hilarious. It almost feels like the perfect ensemble and lead show, so it's hard to not really appreciate Unfabulous. Of course, we have The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. So this one is Hotel Hangout, which is about the boys bringing home their friends from school to show off the fact that they live in this 5-star hotel. Exactly what I would expect the pilot to be. I feel like they hit the nail on the head, and despite being the early 2000s, it was a pretty early time to get something so right. You know, like, that was just such a good episode, and as a lot of the viewers know, that wasn't the first one filmed, but serving as the pilot, I do think it stands a chance against Sunny with a Chance, That's So Raven, and Unfabulous. Reminder, these are all the shows I did this year, so I'm not talking about every show in general, I'm talking about the awards to the shows that we finally covered throughout this year. The winner of it all will have to be That's So Raven.
Go get your mother. Today!
Surprisingly enough, everybody voted for Sweet Life, which is really confusing. I feel like, personally, I like the That's So Raven the most, but hey, Zach and Cody is a classic show with a lot of fandom following it. I feel like it's important to really acknowledge that, like, maybe the fan base for that is a little bit stronger for the pilot. Next award we're going to go to is the Best Band Episode video. And I'm going to give you a little bit of context for this one, because this is when my channel actually started blowing up, when I started reporting on episodes that were lost or banned, specifically with Drake and Josh. Then I found a fun example from Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, found Hannah Montana, Girl Meets World. There's just so many censorship episodes that are so interesting to talk about. And yeah, it definitely defined what I wanted my channel to be, which was like the perfect kind of commentary between 2000s media while also being nostalgic. Our first contender is Hannah Montana. We have No Sugar Sugar and or Uptight Oliver's Alright, and this is one of the infamous episodes about diabetes that they just took in such a weird direction. It became sort of like an infomercial, and I can't even remember the original iteration of this script or how they even thought this was going to be made, but the Diabetics Association was not happy when this thing came out, and I can imagine why. It was the second season finale, and it was definitely a big shoe to fill. I made this like a 10-minute video where I actually got to go over like what the real finale was. Point is, like, that was a really interesting one. Then we have The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and this one has two, actually. People got really mad at me because I didn't cover this on my complete series retrospective, but it's kind of hard because I don't necessarily consider this an episode in the series because they didn't really want it to be there. Despite filming it and everything. The first one was Smart and Smarterer, where Zach pretends to have a learning disability, crazy stuff. And yeah, it's just all around like really cringy to watch. Not as offensive as the Hannah Montana one or the Drake and Josh one, but it did a good job at being just enough that Disney Channel couldn't air it. And they had a lot of episodes following it about health and weight, which was kind of confusing to me. Like, there was a lot of episodes following it that I'm surprised were not banned at all. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. And then in the third season, they had this episode called Grounded on the 23rd Floor, which is Zach and Cody's floor. And in it is the Cheetah Girls and Chris Brown. Yeah, so that's where the controversy comes in. It's not necessarily the contents of the episode that are bad. It's the fact that Chris Brown is in it. I'm not sure if you guys looked this up, but there's a lot of controversy with him, especially on a kids TV show network. Like, all around, like, not a great idea. So Sweet Life was definitely jumping around with multiple banned episodes. But then again, it's not as bad as the third contender, Drake and Josh. Yeah, Drake and Josh is where this really lifted my channel off the ground, where we went to the second season finding at least 5 or 6 episodes that were banned. I don't really need to go over this because this is my most popular video to date. By the way, don't know why that is, but we'll move on from that. They had Little Diva, they had Number One Fan with Allison Stoner, and Driver's License. There was just so many episodes. The Gary Grill, that Drake and Josh just couldn't air. It's not even like they didn't air at the time. It just got pulled within the last couple years. So that's even more surprising. Like, these episodes are a lot harder to find on a regular streaming service. Therefore, I consider them banned. With every one of these Drake and Josh episodes, like, you could find so many reasons that it could have been off the walls. It's almost hard to narrow down exactly what it was that the networks didn't want to make happen, because it was Drake's songs being used, or it was a certain amount of jokes, but really we don't know what's going on behind the production team's mentality between taking these off. And yeah, that was kind of a crazy one. I didn't end up putting this on the final one, but the iCarly episode was really funny. The one I Lost My Mind, where they go to an insane asylum, like, that's just so notable. I had to mention that. And then, of course, we had the Girl Meets World episode where they're pretty much mocking one of the main characters for being on the spectrum. And it seems like it's a good, positive episode, but it doesn't necessarily hit the points it should when addressing a topic as deep as that. Girl Meets World is a show I don't know super well. I'm just gonna say that one was a little bit tough to wrap my head around. But yeah, I gave this out for you guys to vote, and it seems like the winner is Drake and Josh. Yeah, okay, is that really surprising? Drake and Josh had like 10 banned episodes. There's no way you can have a single show in teen history that competes with Drake and Josh in terms of banned episodes. It's got 54 episodes total, and the fact that 10 of them are not even like super easy to access is unbelievable. This show was so short and made such an impact that I can't even get into it. All I know is, like, you guys beat it by a landslide. I think it was like 67% of all the votes went to this Drake and Josh one. And hey, it's hard to argue, because not only that, like, these episodes were really good. And we love Drake and Josh, one of the best sitcoms ever. So it's hard to argue why this wouldn't be the best win. So yeah, congrats everybody. We knew this most predictable award ever. Now we're gonna go to the best revival of the year. Yeah, so I never really watched a lot of revivals, so I was super surprised at all my experiences. I went over Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, iCarly 2021, and Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish. And let me tell you, like, these were really surprising to me. I didn't expect the voice and everything to be recaptured so well in a lot of these shows. It's almost hard for me to choose one of them. I did a retrospective on each show, one by one, going into how each of them made me feel, how it lived up to the original, almost cross-comparing to it. With our first contender being Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. And this one made such a jump since the original show, like, not only in spirit and in cast members returning, but it gave on its new identity in this world. We brought Alex and Justin back, with Justin being like the main central character, and I was very surprised to see how the serialization of the episodes, like, it didn't end up being a monster of the week type thing. It became like a long-running narrative, and actually gave me a lot more respect for Wizards. I feel like Justin's character is developing so much, especially since the last time we saw them was like the Alex versus Alex revival. So they had a lot to compete with, and they definitely came in with a bang. And even with all the news that went on about the second season, I felt like it was just a good time to put that video out. All around, it didn't really do that great. I remember putting everything I could into it, trying to get it out before Halloween, but I couldn't quite do it, and the copyright really messed with me. But I really was surprised with what I watched, and I would love to watch more if you guys liked my first season retrospective, but you know, I also don't mind if I don't have to see more. It was definitely like of its time. It definitely fits into the new era Wizards of like this Harry Potter type fantastical show with some actually really good comedic moments. And so this is definitely one of the great contenders. The next one is the iCarly 2021 reboot. Yeah, this is very controversial. I remember when it came out a couple years ago, we were all in shock. I mean, COVID just happened, and here we're getting a web series back. I don't know why that needed to happen. But iCarly has always been such a great original show about this emerging new medium of the online internet. And now in this new series, it's more about Carly becoming an influencer. There's no Sam involved, unlike the original. And we got Jerry Trainer, Nathan Kress, and Miranda Cosgrove, which is pretty much the heart of the show. So it doesn't feel like it's missing too much. 13 episodes in its first season was more than enough to kind of establish its relevancy to the first show while also giving in new twists. I feel like the IMLM episode really sold me. Like, there really is a place for iCarly in this day and age, and yeah, I was just really excited to watch that one, let alone make the video for it, and I was really happy to see that that video did really well, and it was just all around a fun time, so thank you guys for watching and supporting that one. Then, of course, we have Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish, and this is the animation department. Surprise, surprise, yeah, we're gonna work in our animations too. Parents: A New Wish follows Hazel in Dimadelphia instead of Dimsdale, and yeah, there was a lot of bad reboots of the Fairly Odd Parents. Not only is there the live action movies, but there's Fairly Odder, which got pulled off of Netflix and Paramount. Like, it was just trying to be erased from society. But then this new show came along, and I was dumbfounded. I saw a lot of people review it really well, and I didn't have a lot of high hopes, but after watching every single episode for this retrospective of season 1, I was really pleasantly surprised, with Cosmo and Wanda capturing the energy of the original, and Timmy Turner not necessarily needing to be a part of it. I swear, Hazel is just such a dynamic character, and everybody I loved, like the fairies, Jordan Bong Strangle, did make an appearance in a really tasteful way that wasn't cringy like Fairly Odder. And I desperately think this needs to be a contender, despite the fact that the video never really blew up, nobody really talks about this show anymore. I think we should. I definitely think this is something we need to revisit. So yeah, now these are all the revivals we revisited this year. And of course, it's no surprise, iCarly 2021 is the winner. Yeah. There was just too many funny moments, too many callbacks that made so much sense. It's almost just as good as getting a Drake and Josh reboot, but we're never gonna get that. Jerry Trainer is at his peak comedy, and seeing him, Freddie, and Carly navigate their adult life is just hilarious. And 13 episodes, each one of them established something different, with the new characters bringing something in too. Although I will argue that there's a lot of cringy moments and things that are trying to replicate the original series that don't quite do it so well. But all around, like, it's really hard to complain about this because it was good. If anything, people my age don't really want to watch it because it almost captures it so well that it's uncomfortable and it's like competing with itself. But if you guys get a chance and you're like over watching the original iCarly, I definitely think this gives the energy it deserves. And you guys deserve to watch it. So yeah, definitely check out iCarly 2021. And of course, they had to win. That was a 66% on all these votes. Now, which TV show actually had the worst episodes? This award is the worst episode award. And remember, we're not going over every single show to date. We're going over the series I put out called the Worst Episode Series. And I basically took a bunch of the most popular shows and the shows I covered this year and talked about the episodes I found like the most offensive, the ones that stood out in such a ridiculous manner that I just had to talk about it. It was also, of course, another way to talk about Drake and Josh when really I want to be done with it forever. But all around, like, these videos did really well, and I'm really happy with how we got to, like, put them together at the end in this long 4-hour compilation. It really shined a light on some episodes that I feel like we forgot about up until this point. Like, it's been a long time since we've seen these. So knowing that this was the case is interesting. Now we have 4 contenders. The first one is Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and this includes The Sweet Life on Deck. Yeah, they had some pretty bad episodes. I feel like at worst it was really boring. I dive into it a lot in my 6-hour retrospective and my individual season retrospectives. But yeah, Zack and Cody tends to veer off and be not fun after a while. Like, it's hard not to put it on the worst award list because it got boring. Then we have Victorious, of course, the Hollywood art show about everybody becoming an actor, but really they don't do anything involving acting except for the class and just some random episodes here and there. It's weird sometimes. I don't know who greenlit some of these shows. They feel like they're just going off the rails just to go off the rails. And some of these episodes were just insane. I can't believe even some of these episodes aired on television. Like, they even censored some of this stuff on Paramount Plus since, so maybe Nickelodeon's picking up on it, but there's a lot to unpack with this. Then, of course, we have Zoe 101. This was a crazy show for me this year, as it's been a while since I really watched it, let alone deep dove into it, so it was really exciting to kind of unpack the narrative again. Okay, actually, Zoe 101 had 2 seasons, one really good season, and then the other one was also So that show was pretty controversial, which is why it was so easy to come up with the worst episodes. I literally had 2 for every one because I could not pick between which ones I hated the most, let alone Spring Breakup. Like, all these episodes were just, like, ridiculous sometimes. It wasn't as bad as Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, but yeah, they were pretty bad. Then we have Wizards of Waverly Place coming on in. Yeah, we didn't do a lot of retrospectives on Wizards of Waverly Place, but I did get into the 3rd season this year, the 2nd season toward the earlier part of the year, and obviously the reboot and the revival. So that was really fun, but we had to have a worst of compilation with the episodes that I thought were just downright insulting, with some of them not necessarily fitting in with the vibe Wizards was going for, or it dragged on a little too long, with the lore not being too specific. I don't know. It just didn't work after a certain point, and it wasn't like all the episodes. It was just like 1 or 2 here and there. Very, very minimal compared to all these other shows, but I did have to mention it because Hannah Montana didn't have as many as Wizards, neither did Sunny with a Chance. Like, this is where I saw some really bad episodes, and it was fun going season by season after not revisiting it for a while. I think this is the video that actually got me to jump back into the Wizards of Waverly Place series in general, which, by the way, I don't like nobody watches those videos, so please let me know if you want me to keep covering Wizards, because I've been getting a lot of hot and cold there. Anyway, all around, the best video for the worst episodes goes to Victorious. Yeah, Victorious is just off the rails horrible when it wants to be horrible. The jokes don't even match with the context that's going on. The friends don't treat each other right. The cynicism is just at an all-time high in a way that just doesn't even feel appropriate for a kid's show. I can't even get into how off the rails this show gets, but hey, if you've seen the show, you definitely know what I'm talking about. You can't sit over there behind your grandmother and act like you never heard this show. You did, Tommy. 60%, with Zoe 101 coming in a tight 2nd place, because I guess a lot of you guys agree with my opinion. Zoe 101 is not a fun watch. But yeah, all around, this was such a fun video series, and I'm glad you guys were super receptive to it. So just let me know what your favorite video is, or what shows I should do next in the new year with the worst episode series, because I would love to continue that. Now let's do a fun one. Best couple. So there has been a lot of drama and romance in these teen shows. It's hard to argue that these aren't like just the cringiest, like, teenage hormonal episodes you could imagine. Addie and Jake from Unfabulous. Yeah, so this relationship was pretty touch and go. I covered the 1st season, and I'm working on the 2nd season's retrospective right now, but Addie's relationship with Jake Bahari is by far one of the most bizarre things I've seen on kids' TV. Like, she makes a song She makes a CD of 66 songs for him. She follows him. She daydreams about him. I feel like it's crossing a line at a certain point. So that kind of devotion is why I think Addie and Jake deserve to be one of the contenders on this one. Then we have Creddy. Yeah, Carly and Freddie from iCarly. And we're going to talk about the reboot because obviously Sam isn't relevant and we didn't cover a lot of retrospectives on iCarly quite yet, outside of the reboot, of course. So I would say Carly and Freddie, this on and off again since I Saved Your Life in the original series up until this brand new show, reinventing all the relationships, and then once again revisiting Carly and Freddie. It's trying to be the ultimate love story, making it a little bit further from what the original iCarly was even meant to be. It's supposed to be about this influencer changing the world, or kids trying to turn around the influence in the digital age. Best parts of the reboot are not that aren't really having to do with Carly and Freddie as much. I feel like the best ones I've enjoyed are the ones that touch on the culture and what we're going through now. But of course, everybody's commenting SETI or Creddy, so it's really hard to ignore the topic of if Freddie and Carly should be together. I personally don't care. You know, like, that's not why I watch that specific show. I like it, but it's not what I am looking for. And of course, we have Miley and Jake. Yeah, there's like about 10 episodes, I think, in the entire Hannah Montana series, and I broke it down in a half-hour video about Miley and Jake. And this couple is just insane. They're on again, off again, famous, not famous. Miley even reveals her secret for the first time with Jake Ryan. And this guy is egotistical. He's like a superstar. He doesn't necessarily think about other people, nor does he have the social awareness to deal with it. So him and Miley are coming from like completely different worlds. When they argue, it's about like kind of the most ridiculous things. It doesn't even seem like they're ever compatible, so why keep going? But I digress. This is one of the most influential love stories of Hannah Montana, with I Date a Bad Boy being one of the most influential specials. Of course, we all remember Miley sitting out on the deck, choosing between Jake and Griffin, which is the same guy from the iCarly episode. I don't know, watch the video, we talk about it a lot. But this is a weird couple that just, I think, is completely toxic. I was thinking about doing Oliver and Lily over Jake and Miley, but this one's a little more interesting, and I feel like we remember Jake and Miley more. Of course, Jake inevitably cheated, and they never ended up together. Kind of depressing way to go, but it had to go that way. Okay. In a way, I feel like Hannah Montana's weakest point is their romantic relationships, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think Zoe 101 took it too far. I think Addie Singer took it too far. Like, there's just, it's weird when you're in love in your teenage years because you do not know what to do with it. And then, of course, we have the infamous Derek and Casey. Yeah, if you guys have seen Life with Derek or my new videos on Life with Derek, I covered the first and second season, and I'm working on the third right now. This is a family show. It's essentially the Brady Bunch with 3 siblings from the dad's side, 2 siblings from the mom's side, guys and girls essentially. Sex comes up a lot because of their genders, because of like how they interact in this new house. And it's just weird because Casey and Derek have so much chemistry. They dated in real life, and I think they end up together at the end of the show. Inappropriate. This show just feels like the Brady Bunch, like incest-wise. And I think it's hilarious. I think it's like really funny to watch the show with that in mind, because the flirtation, the way Casey looks at Derek, like there's something about it. When you type in Life with Derek on YouTube, you'll just get like Daisy compilation videos with clips of them talking, and they say the wackiest stuff to each other. Like, I tried to write down every time they like flirted with each other. I could not narrow it down. It was ridiculous. Now, if we're looking at Casey and Derek, Addie and Jake, Miley and Jake, and Creddy, I'm gonna have to give it to Daisy. Life with Derek, yeah. See, this is crazy because obviously, like, this blew up my video because of this controversy. People were commenting all over my first video about this romantic undertone that we weren't really quite sure of. And it was kind of annoying at first until I watched the second season and was like, okay, I actually have to talk about this. I didn't want to, like, just make it all about romance, because it's barely about that. Like, it's mostly about this family trying to bond and get along, but it's almost impossible to not talk about their chemistry, and the show drives it. Like, you could tell that it gets to be its best in the 3rd season because they start doubling down on like how they attack each other. It is completely about Casey and Derek. Yeah, Creddy cannot compete with that. Now we're going to be going with the best clip show episode. So this year I actually did a deep dive into clip show episodes. We talk about flashbacks and taking up full 30 minutes of time to revisit footage instead of actually make a new story. Like when Victorious did that episode with Christopher Kane, and it's kind of themed like an interview. He sits there and talks to all the cast of Victorious. Then there's another blooper episode where they do that exact same thing, but with iCarly, and they don't change a thing. I mean, granted, they did have a really good episode before that called I Bloop, and iCarly like made it really good at first, but Victorious came along and it just made it wacky. Unfortunately, they're not at all like their original counterpart, which it started on Drake and Josh. The whole Dan Schneider universe of clip shows, that needed to happen on Drake and Josh first. It was the Dr. Phyllis show, and that was a really easy way to weave in the clips while also still progressing the story, and we still had like a legitimate Drake and Josh episode. Like, it didn't outshine anything, it didn't get too meta. So our contenders are best clip show episodes. We got Victorious with the Christopher Kane talk show. Then we have Drake and Josh with the Dr. Phyllis show, iCarly with I Bloop, and Zoe 101 with PCA Confidential, which I didn't get into. PCA Confidential is when Chase and Zoe come in for the final episode and then just have this rehash of all memories they had throughout PCA. Really heartwarming, unnecessary by all means, and one of these shows got to win. I was so upset when nobody watched this video. I'm going to re-release it at some point. But you could check it out right now. It's basically cross-comparing all the blooper episodes. So that was a crazy moment in time that we just have to talk about, and I like that I covered it in a video. So please check that out if you get a chance. The winner for this one is definitely going to go to the Dr. Phyllis show. There's no competition here. It's got a story, it has the character development. It's a season finale, which I don't think is super positive, but for Drake and Josh, like, they deserve that. And yeah, the other ones just went too meta, too off the tables, too wacky with what it was trying to do. I can't even talk about this one that much. Now, let's talk about best finale of a TV show. Yeah, we covered some good finales this year. And these, to be clear, are good ones. Like, I'm not saying this to be ironic. It's not like the best finale. It's like, no, like, which one genuinely ended in a really good way? Our first contender is Drake and Josh's Really Big Shrimp. Now, while episodically it's not numbered as the very final episode, we all know it's the finale. Like, it's a lot of character arcs concluding, and it's everybody moving on from what was going on. They have Helen getting married, they have Josh and Mindy getting back together. A lot of full circle moments that Drake and Josh really needed, especially toward the tail end of its run. And it's still a travesty that show didn't go on for longer, because it was phenomenal. But yeah, Really Big Shrimp is when Drake gets the record deal and Josh becomes his manager. It feels like Drake and Josh goes Hollywood, but more set at home. And yeah, it's a really genuine attempt at a finale. Then we have Wherever I Go. And Hannah Montana, going through the 4th season of this year, actually breaking down every final episode, I swear, it was just so good. Like, they really took 13 episodes to slowly put Hannah Montana to rest in the most fair way possible. With every episode focusing on something different, they had to kind of make work in order to give us closure. The last episode, it became more about Miley going to college instead of like giving up her secret or moving on. There was a lot to develop. And we see Miley, Lily, Oliver, like everybody comes back one last time. And it's just, they have clip shows, it's heartwarming, it's just everything about it is like what a finale should be. So it's hard not to put this on the list. Then, of course, something that's not so surprising is iCarly's I Goodbye. Now, in this one, Carly wants to go to the dance with her father, and we think that this guy's coming back for this episode. He doesn't, spoiler alert, and it becomes more about Spencer trying to keep this promise to Carly, all the friends trying to come together, and Carly eventually deciding to move on with her life. I Goodbye does a good job at giving every character their, like, last moment together in a surprising way that wasn't done on any other show. Victorious never got this kind of finale. Like, this was not super usual for what was going on. So we're looking at iCarly, Hannah Montana, and Drake and Josh. So the winner to this one, it's literally got to be Hannah Montana. I'm sorry, guys. Like, they did such a good job, and I know we're not counting, like, the whole final season, but if you are just looking at the finale wherever I go, it covers so much and in such a profound way. It's not just the finale to a 4-year show about a teen pop star. It's a really heartwarming conclusion to a teenager's life as they navigate to college. And yeah, iCarly was a close second. I feel like them making moves in their own personal life, like Carly moving away, was definitely really monumental. But nothing will compare to the secret of Miley being revealed and her dealing with all the fallback of that. Like, it was set up since the very first episode. So of course they're gonna end on a really high note. Of course, an episode of Hannah Montana named after its own song was, like, very rare for that series. They would always name after, like, famous rock songs or famous pop songs. So it was really cool to have that happen. All around, really great finale to a TV show, and I'm so glad we got to cover it together. Now we have Best Cartoon covered. Yeah, I really liked doing cartoons for this channel. I started out doing Drake and Josh, Hannah Montana. Things kind of teetered out last year. Like, when I first started the channel, I wanted it to be more about DVDs and, like, my collections and everything I got from the 2000s. And then soon I realized, like, I liked recapping. I liked talking about the things I learned and experienced when I watched these shows to more so connect with you guys instead of teach you something or make something real. Like, I don't know. I wanted to feel like it was more conversational, and I'm really happy we got to do that. My videos teetered off for a while until I started doing Cartoon Network ones, where I actually went over the finales of a bunch of different shows, like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Ben 10, Steven Universe, Powerpuff Girls. Like, I wanted to go full into my favorite movies. And you know what? That's what I did. I had a great time, and I revived the channel with just those videos alone, along with a compilation of all the 2-part episodes of Cartoon Network, and that was super fun. So there's always going to be kind of a place in my heart for that, and I really hope people in the future want me to do more cartoon stuff, because along with, like, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, like, I still want to go into them. It's just the views really don't add up compared to the other shows I've been covering. So if you guys ever want any of these older shows to come back, please, like, rewatch some of the other ones, put them on your TV. I don't know. I just think it would be cool. We had some really good installments this year. Like, I got to cover some of my favorite shows' first seasons, and I will never forget that. So let's talk about the best shows I covered this year. First, we have Jimmy Neutron. This is the TV show I started with as a cartoon installment. I went through all 3 seasons. I think there's about, like, 50, 60 episodes. And this show also was, like, incredible. I feel like it was so different than anything that was on Nickelodeon at the time. Like, a genius kid was so different than having, like, a magic kid, like Fairly Odd Parents, or an underwater kid like SpongeBob. Yeah, it just all around did a lot of unique things that a lot of Nickelodeon fans don't acknowledge as much. Avatar: The Last Airbender gets talked about a lot. Like, there's some really good classics, but this one deserved to be watched. Not only was the original movie super good, but every episode was just hilarious. It was profound. Like, there was just something about it that just really, really made me excited. So, had a lot of fun with Jimmy Neutron. That's a contender for one of the best cartoons covered this year. Another contender will be Danny Phantom. Yeah, this is the second cartoon show that I was actually able to get through the entire series of. I had a lot of issues on my first season retrospective where, like, I misremembered a lot of, like, but also I was, like, trying to make it the narrative of a feature film because I just thought it had such a cinematic quality to it. That's kind of on me. I wasted a lot of time with that. But when I jumped into the second season, even the third season, like, I was just so surprised with how much Danny Phantom had to offer, especially as a grown man versus a child. I was definitely surprised at how not funny it was. Like, I feel like most Nickelodeon shows do a great job at being funny, but Danny Phantom doesn't have a lot of jokes. It's a half-hour narrative, and it's all about this ghost boy, but they did have really good emotional beats that made up for all of that. I think even the finale was phenomenal, with Danny actually kissing Sam for the first time. Like, it threw a lot of curveballs my way, and I just love the idea of a half ghost, half boy. And where they stretched it was really awesome, and I wish they continued it. Like, that's one of the biggest travesties, I feel like, is that show should have gotten more time. Not like in a way that Jimmy Neutron felt like it did have enough time to really grow. Then we have the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. See, this started out just being a Halloween thing, where I was like, let's get ready for Halloween and watch this show. But it's so weird, you know, like it's existential, it's scary, it's hilarious in a way that Danny Phantom isn't. So it's like gruesome and medieval in a really unique way. Billy and Mandy are some of the funniest characters on TV, and I can't believe how many episodes I had to watch in that first season. I mean, I really want to capture another season of this show, just because I was so excited to actually be able to do it. And after, like, reviewing the finale, like, it definitely made it really cool. It reminds me of shows nowadays like The Great Digital Circus or, like, Severance, where there is this, like, really weird darkness to it, and a lot of the things that happen are more metaphorical because this isn't all real stuff happening, so they just had to make it work. Being a Grim Reaper as one of the main cast members is just, that's bold, okay? And I don't know why they did that, to be honest. Like, that would never happen today. And then, of course, Ed, and Eddie. This was one of the first Cartoon Network shows I did, and I was super into it. I called it the first 50 scams of Ed, and Eddie. Went over every scam in the first season of Ed, and Eddie, and I was a little disappointed at first because Colby 2D already started that series, and I didn't realize until after I was done editing it that he also made a first season retrospective, so I was a little disappointed, but his video was really good. I would definitely check that out if I were you guys. He also covered my favorite show, Shaolin Showdown, and yeah, I really want to continue Shaolin Showdown, but that's neither here nor there. Ed and Eddie deserves to be dove deeper into, and I really hope, you know, if you guys want to support my old videos, that we could still do that for Ed and Eddie. Especially since the second season, third season, like a lot of the first season was kind of like a test dummy, so it didn't really get there quite yet, but I would love to keep going. And yeah, the best covered show for the cartoon series this year is Danny Phantom. That's surprising. Yeah, Danny Phantom garnered probably the most traction out of all of these. Everybody loved seeing the coverage of the Ultimate Enemy special, the finale, even the political last season that just kind of went off of its rockers with Vlad Plasmius. Oh gosh, there was so much of that show that I didn't remember that I really liked coming back to. And, you know, just like all the lore and the fact that this show is even being continued in a comic book series, who knew that would happen? Who knew? All around loved it, and I thought this was probably a really fun one. I think I personally liked Grim Adventures and Ed and Eddie to go over, but they're more experimental. I expected that. Nicktoons are a different vibe, but I was still excited to do it. Now I'm gonna do a little category I like to call the most unrecognized award, and this is a video that I tried really hard on that didn't gain any traction online. And I just think it would be funny to talk about, just because, like, seeing that I was so insistent that this would be like a great video and then it just not working out is really funny. One of the first contenders is the Worst Guy Friends video. Yeah, you guys really hated this one. This was me going over the 5 worst guy best friends in all of TV in terms of teen sitcoms. And yeah, we got Nico and Grady, Andre, Oliver Oaken, and even Freddie Benson. Like, these guys just, they were done wrong, and it did really poorly. I tried to upload it, and I feel like those topic videos were just not working out for me this time around. Then we have the 13 shows that outscare Halloween. Yeah, I thought this would be a banger. I thought we would go over all these shows and people would be like, whoa, you covered so many shows, like Courage the Cowardly Dog, like I've always wanted that one. But this kind of flopped. It didn't really go super far. Actual horror shows. It was an interesting discovery to think of how many shows were just going for the scare effect, and I really wanted to cover it. That didn't work out the way I wanted to. Then I have the Steven Universe video. So this is funny because this was in the era where all my videos were doing well, except for this one. Yeah, I covered Steven Universe, and that movie was really good. It was like the series finale, had a lot of really good musical moments, and I don't know, I all around just like really liked how they went about it. I didn't really watch a lot of the show. Like, I finally got to talk about musical numbers. I finally got to like dive into topics that I thought were like deep and relevant to these videos. So I thought the Steven Universe one would do really well, but I think there's just too many animation fans, too many Steven Universe fans for this to have competed with anybody, so I just kind of had to call it quits on it. Then we have the teen shows that demolished television. This one was really cool because I wanted to connect all the teen shows I'd been talking about with some of its older counterparts, like Raising Hope, Glee, Malcolm in the Middle. Like, when you were in the 2000s watching kids shows, you were also watching adult shows, and there were some really, really good bangers out there. Some that to this day I feel like a lot of us missed. Like, there were some really good ones. I spent a lot of time in research trying to figure out what would make it work, and I just feel like all around, like, it didn't really land with a lot of people. It wasn't like a series retrospective, so it didn't feel like it necessarily fit into my genre, so it didn't work. Then, of course, this one kind of hurts. The best online Nickelodeon secrets. And this one kind of hurt because I was doing like a full video on everything that went on Nickelodeon in 2004, and that was a big year for Nick. Like, they started going online, like they had a social media presence. Like, that was a big year. And I found so many old Flash games with such crazy references to old shows that I would have never expected to be on Nick.com. And I spent probably a multitude of days, like, deep researching, finding all these fun old gems, and surprise, surprise, this is one of the worst performing videos. Like, I never even got to 2000, I think. So yeah, that was kind of a disappointment. I feel like I put my all into that video, and it didn't really meet my expectations. Oh well. And then the diabetes campaign. This one was kind of crazy because I like noticed a pattern in Disney Channel shows where they were talking a lot about weight, diabetes. Like, it was really occurring to me that like they were trying to start a movement in talking about these things, which objectively is a really cool idea. Like, I want to see how Nick Jonas is dealing with his diabetes. I want to know about all this. I just thought it was such a weird pivot to talk about with teens. Nowadays, I feel like it's still something we suffer with, and maybe like more episodes should be about this. But at the time, I guess people didn't really care about all those new finds I found with it, which is okay. Like, it's no big deal. Now, the winner of this one is Nick.com. I put so much into that video. No, for real though, I did care about it a lot, and I feel like it did a good job. I mean, it's not like I have the exact recognition I wanted, but I also feel like I did something I wanted to do out of passion. And even though, like, I more lean towards sitcoms and actually talking about live action shows, I felt like it was good to get that one out of my system. It was in my head for so long, and I feel like I needed to do it. So I'm just happy everybody, at least like the 2,000 people that saw it, would definitely go for it. Next, we have the best series. I'm talking about series of videos. So when I do my videos, I like to do a bunch of like 15-20 minute segments, all on the same topic, like best episodes, worst episodes, and then I like to put them together in this huge video that you could actually put on and watch for hours. But that's like my real flagship, is that longer video. These are the series that I felt they started with. First one is the Productions versus Air Dates series. Yeah, this year was a lot of fun. I feel like diving behind the scenes to find hidden things about all the shows I know and love, like, that was a treat to do. Essentially, this whole thing was finding the episode order and the episode air dates and figuring out which episodes actually intended to come out earlier versus which ones were just like not really the pilot, or, you know, not really the finale. It really messed with a lot. Like, when Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, when they like change the episode titles, it's because they want to get the optimal result. The same way when I upload videos, I try to figure out the right time. You know, it's not always the first video I finished, but it was so cool to dive in and find all these like hidden secrets to the episode codes. Like, even Jimmy Neutron, adding a cartoon in there was super fun to do, and I would love to keep doing a series like this if I were to dive into other things. And I feel like you guys were really receptive to this, and I was so happy of how it came together by the end when we actually did like the full flagship video. Like, that was really cool. So thank you guys so much for supporting that. Then we have the Time Capsule series. Now this one, we haven't even been able to talk about super much. So I've been trying this new thing, and it's not that new actually, where I take an entire year in one of the network's histories, like Cartoon Network 2007 or Nickelodeon 2004, and I make like a little bit of like an hour where I'm going over the video games, DVDs, releases, everything that kind of impacted the culture on that specific show. And yeah, it was exactly what it sounds like. It's a time capsule video. And I feel like this like really defined what I wanted to see for my channel. And even though they're not like the most hype videos that I've had to offer, it definitely did a good job at like formally looking at this like a yearbook. Like, these videos really ended up like a yearbook, and I hope you guys enjoyed like actually sitting and going through all the old ones. And as I improve like my voiceovers and everything, like I kind of want to keep going over these. So in the new year, definitely give me some support for my time capsule series, because it's a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen it yet, please take a look at some of these, like check out the sales, the merchandise, and go down memory lane, because that was a really fun series to do. Then we have the Copied series. This started out with Hannah Montana and iCarly, because so many of the plots just interwoven with each other. Like, felt like one show was copying the other, but that couldn't have even happened, because there was just so many different moments of that happening. Like, we have 5 or 6 different videos where I was like, wow, this episode of iCarly is just like this episode of Hannah Montana. Yeah, they all were. Yeah, it was a lot. They had a really funny approach to it this year, that's for sure. And this series expanded. We talked about like season premieres with like iCarly, Victorious, like, and then the Copied series became a lot more than that. So today's winner is none other than the most popular series, of course, the Copied series. Ugh, I feel bad for the Time Capsule series, the other one. Like, I really like. And we just started talking about all episode ideas and like how everything is not necessarily unique anymore, but they're trying to copy each other and find the right perfect sitcom episode, which is just as crazy. You know, it's never going to happen. All around, though, it was really fun to like cross compare with this. I remember I did an election episode one, like that was really fun. Not a lot of people saw that. My favorite one to go over was the theater video, where I actually talked about all the shows that we're putting on a play, and then 5 days later found out that I missed like 20 of them. Like, it's just so hard to keep up with this stuff. That's why I kind of rely on my fans to like comment and tell me what's really going on, because it's super helpful. Now let's do best crossover video of the year. Now first we have the best Jimmy Timmy Power Hour failed. And this is me going over the third Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, because I just firmly believe it was the best one. Yeah, this video, like, it just jumps between everything that's working and everything that's not working, kind of what happened in its place and time, and why I believe, like, they really hit their stride at that third installment. It's really cool to see these specials like evolve from when they first start out, especially the fact that they only had one crossover, then another crossover. Like, Nickelodeon was not playing around in their crossovers. Then we have the Sweet Life on Deck crossover. Yeah, this video was really fun, because I feel like, I don't know, I love the thumbnail for it. You know, like having this whole like sinking ship, it's just such a dramatically bad crossover. It's easy to talk about crossovers on YouTube channels, because it's like, obviously you get the most famous people, the most famous events that happen, but really what's going on is like a bunch of network executives are just trying to put people in the same room, and it's reeking of desperation. I really wish they like took their time with these and made them work better, but you know, I don't know, Nickelodeon. But we're not talking about like the best crossover, we're talking about the best crossover video. I got to go over every video from Wizards to Sweet Life and then to Hannah Montana and actually dive into it. I feel like it could have been a lot longer, but in retrospect, I'm not disappointed in how it went. Then we have the Cartoon Network 2007 video. Yeah, see, this one's coming up again because that was the biggest crossover year. Like, they had the Invaded event where aliens were coming through 5 different shows, and even though it was another failed promotional tactic, it came out pretty well. You know, like, I feel like they had some really good episodes just in their own right in this one. So like seeing them actually pull it off in a way that none of the other channels got to, like this one is the winner. Yeah, the Invaded series did so much better, and it almost like did good in its simplicity because it didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't have to worry about cameos or like this big event situations, or they didn't have to like rely on like these famous people or like any crazy outcome. Like they did a great job at just making it the way it should be, which is subtle. And then I did one that I thought was like a little bit more creative than the rest, where I didn't necessarily go over the crossovers that happened, but I talked about crossovers that I wish would happen. And yeah, it's got Ashley Tisdale and Miranda Cosgrove on the cover. It only did like 8,000, but it was still really fun to kind of like talk about all these things that I wish would happen, like Big Time Russian Ned's Declassified. Like that would be so cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, I wish that was going to be a contender. Now, I hate to make a fun time end, and thank you guys for sticking with me as long as you have. I know this video is super long, but I thought it would be really nice to have this at the end of our 2025. It's time for the final category. The most anticipated video series continuation. Yeah, that's a mouthful. Pretty much like which shows that I started am I going to finish off in the new year? We got a lot of unanswered questions, right? Like I never got to finish Kickin' It. I did Kickin' It the first season, and I actually covered like all the episodes, what went on, and I was super surprised with that show. Like that was a very fun show to watch, and I can't believe I missed it as a kid. Disney XD is such a wonder to me that I don't even know. Then we have Life with Derek. 2 seasons in, and it's already the wackiest show I've ever seen. The brother and the sister flirting so much, like, I don't know how to tell you guys. This is crazy. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't believe we have this wholesome family show, and it's just flirting brother and sister. Like, what are we supposed to do with all that? The 3rd season is 26 episodes instead of the 13 I'm used to covering, so I'm going to take my time with it, but it's good to see that this series is off to a good start, and I'm definitely going to keep going with it. iCarly 2021, of course we do, because iCarly is just, I don't know, the reboot was a very big surprise. I think it did super well, and my video on it did super well, so of course everybody's going to want me to go back to season 2, and with all these cameos I'm about to cover, like, I'm nervous. I'm nervous where iCarly Season 2 is going to take me. I'm sure most of you guys have actually even seen it, you know, with Spencer, Freddie, Carly. But I think going into the 2nd season is going to be a trip for everybody involved. I can't wait to go through every single episode, maybe do like a little bit of a ranking and see how they compare to the 1st season and still to the iCarly episodes themselves. Then we got Sunny with a Chance. Sunny with a Chance. Oh, that first video did so well, and I'm so happy because this is one of my favorite shows of all time. I am going to keep going with Sunny with a Chance, even if the government paid me not to. Sunny with a Chance is obviously about Sunny Monroe and her whole life in Hollywood, and it gets just so off the rails ridiculous. It doesn't even follow like a strict narrative after a certain point. It feels like 30 Rock like on heroin or something. I can't even get into it. Point is, I covered the rest of season 1, and I really can't wait to get on to season 2, so please, like, if you want that to be covered, let me know. Unfabulous, we're finally getting through the 2nd season, and there's a lot of fun stuff going on with this series. With Addie being super obsessive with Jake Bahari and trying to navigate, I'm just happy it's not going to be all about that. So I'm excited to go for what's next. And if you guys like the Unfabulous episode so far, it's cool because it's like not a lot of other channels are talking about this show, which I find to be like a shame because it's really good. Like, we should definitely give this more attention. So whether it was Drake and Josh Victorious or even diving into the Cartoon Network stuff, like the time capsules, there was just so much 2025 did for all of us. And with I did a little bit over 200 videos, I think, this year. Like, this was a crazy time, and I can't wait to continue this time with you guys. Yeah, but 2026 all around is going to be a really, really awesome year for all of us. I just want to put it out there. I want to manifest it because we deserve it, guys. Like, there's been a really tough time out there in the economy, in the world. Like, we need this center of positivity where we kind of heal our inner child, and the only way to do that is to go back through old shows and use the power of nostalgia to heal that child. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and enjoying this journey. I enjoy it so much, and I love seeing you guys comment and share my stuff. Like, I am forever grateful. And if you want to support me any further, I have a new movie coming out with a couple songs being released called The Consequences of Victoria Gray, and I front-loaded at least 10 to 15 videos, so every video you see coming up is going to be stuff I've stashed away for quite some time, so you're going to have some fun seeing what I've kind of left in the basket for you guys. As I go ahead and finish my movie and my soundtrack, I can't wait to share that with you guys too, so please continue to support, help like and share, and make Johnny2000s a part of your 2026. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.